Welcome back. My name is Vern, and the channel you're on is Fixing My Faith. I started this channel several months ago in order to help me fix my faith, and I used this channel as a form of documentation to really document the journey and so I could go back, look at videos, see where I was mentally at certain stages of waking up. And what I come to realize, and a lot of this I wrote down. Now, what I come to realize that there's kind of seven stages to waking up, and when I think about it, if I was told, Vern, you have to go through Cult 101 recovery, I'm what do I need that stuff for? It's not what it is. So here's a different approach. If we think of ourselves, perhaps we're inside the religion right now, and we're questioning a few things. So if we think of ourselves as inside of a cage, mentally, inside our minds, because it's really our minds that hold us captive. It's what our minds allow us to do. It's not that we're physically in a cage. We're not in jail or we're not incarcerated, but our minds tell us that we're in jail. We're held captive. And what holds us captive? Well, there's many things that hold us captive. This isn't where, and I've never taken a Cult 101 course. I don't know any of the theology behind who wrote that stuff. And I decided to do this video before I look at a bunch of other stuff and just to share what worked for me. Here it is. The first lock, and I say there's seven locks. There's seven locks, seven stages, however you want to say. For me, that's how it worked. And the first one I wrote down here is you. We're the first lock. So we unlock the journey. So right now, if you're on this channel, if you're watching this, you probably have already unlocked the first lock. It's probably you're already on your journey. So the first one is about faith, courage, and us. Faith, courage, and us. You see, because the last and the final lock, and I'm going to tell you it right now, is fear. Fear is the very final lock that we have to unlock, and this is all fear-based. It's all one big lock, but inside there's many little locks, and we have to go through stages to and it takes a lot of courage. So the courage is it unlocks a journey, and the courage is that we have to be able to walk away, and that's the courage, that's the faith, that's where it becomes us. And that's where we unlock some of our own internal power, because remember, we're made in God's image. And right now, if we're under a religion, if we're under the trance of any religious doctrine out there, we're under a man's indoctrination, and we're basically working through him to form our belief system, to form what locks us and what controls us. So now the first stage is you have to walk away. So now the second lock is putting up with the spiritual darkness. So there's going to be a stage in time that it's just you and God, just me and God. And I have to be okay with that. I have to be able to unlock that lock and be okay with it's just me and God. And I'm in spiritual darkness. I don't know a lot. I walked outside that door, and I hope to straighten up my mind. In my case, I didn't want to look at the internet. So if you're looking at the internet, you're a couple stages ahead of where I was. And so I went through this spiritual darkness, and I experienced a lot of things. And this goes to lock number 3. And I found that lock number 3, I call it the test lock. We're going to get tested. And it just seems like we get tested. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we are thinking the worst. So if we're thinking the worst, Jesus says, whatever you sow, this you shall reap. So inside our minds, if we're sowing negative thoughts, maybe we could reap negative results. So we have to be careful what we allow, what kind of thoughts we allow to flow around in our heads, because these thoughts keep shackling us. They hold us hostage inside this cage, and we have to unlock these locks. So now the third one is the tests. And I found there was tests of morality, because we have built-in mechanisms. Now, of course, if you studied the Christian Bible, and if you studied the Hindu Bible, and if you studied the Muslim Bible, and I'm sure if you studied all the other beliefs on earth, there is morality within everyone's beliefs. So there will be tests of morality. And the biggest test is the test of loneliness. And it's just you and God. You're in this world. It's just you and God. And so maybe you get a dog or a bird or something, a cat, something like that, and you get a pet, and then you start talking to your pet. In my case, I had a horse, and I started talking to my horse a little bit. And the animals, they read our intent, and it could be any language. And in fact, there's a universal language, the language of intent, and we all speak it. You can be watching this program from another language, and maybe the words are coming across the screen, but you see my intent. You see, naturally, all human beings read the facial biometrics of a person's face. So our eyes go in certain directions when we're lying. Our eyes go in certain directions when we're thinking, trying to recall events from the past. There's a lot that our eyes tell us. And in fact, criminologists, policemen, in a lot of cases, are trained to watch people's eyes. And they ask very direct questions. So they'll ask, well, what's your name? Well, everyone's going to tell you your name, right? So they get a basis of reference. They see where your eyes go. And if you're left-handed, it's completely opposite. So you find out if they're left or right-handed. And most people can do that by observation. So the police officer asks you for your registration and license. In Canada here, if you get pulled over, very first thing they want to know. And you're in the car, and you roll your window down, and you reach for it. Now they determine, are you right or left-handed? So now they determined you're right-handed. Well, your eyes are going to go in a certain direction when they ask you certain questions. And what I found, and all policemen are trained in this, I received some training in this. I'm in the security business, so we took a course, and it was about understanding people's eyes and their facial expression. So right now we have computer systems that do all of this automatically. Even online right now, the policemen have computer systems. They can run any of these YouTubes, and they can tell if a person's lying. Now, every person has telltale signs as to lying or to shifting the truth. And it's the poker hand. And you can watch any video and you can see the poker hand. And I've watched some videos off some of the apostate sites where they're featuring people that are finding loopholes in the Bible. And they're skeptics, right? They don't really believe in the Bible. And these are some of the atheists. And you'll find atheist ex-Jehovah's Witnesses on the site. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't be alarmed if you're new. These atheists, they claim to be atheists, but probably behind it all, they're spiritual beings. We're all spiritual beings. And we put up this shell, and it's like putting up a shell of religion. And we say, I'm atheist. And because we don't want anybody, so we want to push back all of the religious doctrines. We're just sick of it. And that's natural. That's a part of waking up. And that's a part of the process. And when we're in that we still haven't woken up fully, in my opinion, because we're still believe we have a religion, this atheism. And we're finding that many will go through a stage. I went through it 10 years. I spent 10 years. I pushed back everything, and I didn't want to believe in nothing. And so it's a stage of waking up. So this journey is not an overnight journey for any of us. Now, what we're hoping is that by us older ones experiencing these things, documenting it, and perhaps putting it into books and stories. In my case, I chose to, rather than give you the 7 steps to waking up, I didn't want any of that stuff. I'm not Anthony Robbins, and I don't want to be looked at as that. But what I did is I like the fictional journey. And I think for a lot of us, when we wake up, we have to get outside of everything. And we have to go way up and take a look down, almost like an out of body experience where you're looking down at yourself. And you see that there's two sides of you. You know, some days you're really a terrific guy, and then other days, you know, something happens and you're angry at something. And why do we keep getting angry when we shouldn't be? We look down at us, and then we find out, well, we haven't unlocked all the locks. There's more locks. So we start searching. Well, we're only on lock 3. We get all these tests, all these, just like Jesus got tested in the wilderness. We will get tested, and everyone's test is different. So we talk about that in the story. Now, we get to lock 4, and when we pass enough time, it seems like we get to what I call the promised land, and we get to this place where everything's different. And we our eyes are blurry, though we can't see it all yet. It's just too much. And you remember the scriptures talk about God will only give you what you can bear or what you can handle or receive at any given time. Well, I believe that's true. I believe we're made like that. We're made in God's image. We're made in a certain way to only experience and handle a certain amount at a certain time. So we all put shells around ourselves. I didn't want to be any part of a religion. If I checked into a hospital, when I left the Jehovah's Witness, I put no religion, you know, atheist, whatever they want to call you. There's just no, but yet I go home and in my mind, I still believe in God. I still believe in Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call God. My intent is to connect with God. And we're talking about intent and police officers and how they read your poker hand. So they ask you if your date of birth, and you tell them because they have it on your license. You're going to tell them the truth, and they're watching your eyes. And then they say, "Did you know you were speeding?" And your eyes shift. No, officer, I didn't know. Okay, that's $120. I'm going to give you the maximum. Yeah, seriously. So this is a lesson, folks. The officer tests your eyes. He knows you're right-handed. He asks you a question when you were born. You give him an accurate answer. He's reading it on your license. He sees your eyes. He's already got a basis, a line basis, and he knows his next question is going to be quick. Well, you know you were speeding. You know why you were pulled over, and the officer is going to ask it right out. Did you know you were speeding? Well, yeah, you know I did. I was in a hurry. I shouldn't have been, and my wife gets really pissed off at me when I'm late, and I have no excuse. I'm so sorry. I deserve a ticket. 9 out of 10 times he's not going to give you a ticket because you are honest, and that's all people want is honesty. That's all any of us want. So you can tell online if someone's you can tell their poker hand. And I was watching, like I said, one of these other videos, and the guy keeps going like this. Then he talks for a long time, and then he goes like this. It's his poker hand. And he's not quite sure of what he's saying, but what's coming out of his mouth is like fact. And that's what you'll find with a lot of people that are trying to say they know it all, they have the truth, or I know that the Bible's crap because it's all stories, it's all this, it's all that. Well, yeah, you know, you after watching one of those shows, if you want to be spiritual, you're done. You're an atheist. And it's true, you know, because we tend to want to believe what we're told. And we got to look at the poker hand. We got to look for the signs, and we got to do our own research. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And even on the JW channel, I'll notice one apostate is talking about the Sabbath. You know, got to do it a certain way. And the other apostate's talking about, well, no, it's got to be on Saturdays. And the other guy says, well, who cares? And the next thing you know, they're showing each other's videos online, and they're having debates with but not with each other. You're pulling up another guy's video. Well, this guy says it's this way, but I believe it's this way. You see, what's happening is everyone's trying to form a religion. It's just another belief. It's just, well, Jehovah's Witnesses didn't do it quite right. They didn't do this. They do, but we all should do this. You see, we're still in the trance. We're still in the religious trance. We still believe, and I'm going to scratch my head here because it's itchy, not because I have a sign. Usually my telltale sign. I'm going to give it to you. my nose gets itchy for some reason. And there might be a little bit of stuff there I can't back in what I'm saying when my nose gets itchy. And our bodies have a way of doing that. Our bodies have a way of telling the audience what's real. And you see, I think we're getting into a new awakening here. We have facial biometrics. We have the computers right now. YouTube knows who's telling the truth and who's not. It's automatic, and the biometrics are there. So we know when Jeffrey Jackson gets up and he's telling the truth or he's not telling the truth. You just have to look at his face, and you can hear it in his voice when he says, "Will you tell the truth, nothing but truth? So help me God." Well, when they got to tell nothing but the truth, you see how we say things in our voice, and our voices are like fingerprints as well. There's no two voices the same. It's like a fingerprint. And online, our voices have a signature. And this guy's voice and everyone's voice, you watch, we can ask the same thing with a question. So if we're under oath, to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. That's the intent. God, I'm in this court to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. Or I'm in this court to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. You see, how we say things also implies our intent. And the courts aren't stupid. And that's why I say on this channel, don't worry about you having to do a lot of work. It's all happening right now. Religion's crumbling. People are leaving religion by the droves. But what's happening now, a lot of people are lost. A lot of people are not sure. And a lot of people are in stages, and they're working their way out of this trance. And it's locks. There's many little locks. If you're in Catholicism, it's going to be different locks. I know the JW ones. And that's what I talk about. So we got up to the promised land, our eyes are blurry, and then we get to lock number 5. And that's where our eyes open up and we see it all, and we see God's promised land. Now we're outside of religion. We went through all the spiritual darkness, maybe years, I don't know. Every case is a little different. And hopefully online, with some of the stories and some of the sharing, this process will speed up for many. And I think stories help, fictional stories with some truth in it help. And it helps get our minds outside the box. Because if you really think about it, Russell and Rutherford and the whole JW picture today is a one big fictional story based on the Bible. Mormonism, one big fictional story based on the Bible. Catholicism, the same thing. You know, Paul comes in and says, I had to extract a demon out of that girl. Well, all of a sudden, every Christian out there can point fingers and, well, that's demonized. Must be a demon in that person because they're not Christian. You see, Paul liked that stuff. And that's why when we look at the Bible, we know it was a certain amount manufactured to control people. Because what happened? You got a few people that believe in the land. They believe in energy. They believe in intent, kind of some of the stuff I'm talking about. And they burned them at the stake. Yeah, about 1,000 years CE, 1000 CE, and around that time. The Druids became extinct. We lost all of that information. The ancient Magi, where did they go? I'll be talking about that in future videos. I think it's fascinating that we learn. And these are little secrets inside the Bible that we can learn about these people. Where did they come from? Why did God give them a star to follow? And why did they come and give the 3 gifts to Jesus? And these were pagan people. They followed the stars, astrology. You see, but then Paul came by and all that stuff's evil. Burn them. You see, they had to control people. But so I look at religion, and we have to get outside of it all of this religious doctrine, all of it. Every religion on earth, and then religion crumbles because we're tired of it. We're not going to allow religion to keep us in this cage, shackled, locked in inside our minds in fear of the unknown, because they know, only they know. They claim that. Now, we get up to God's promised land, and we see it, and finally we see that religion is just a business. All of these religions are a business, and the Bible is their mascot. All of them. Mormonism, everything. We did some research, and you have to do a little research. And now online, you can look at some people's videos, our videos, and we exposed a lot of this. And we showed that these guys are giving nothing to the charities. And Charity Canada, none of these religions are putting anything into charity. No registration. Um, there was a Catholic home that had some stars because they were running some kind of a home. But who can trust that? Back in the beginning of the century, they were burying some of our native kids in this country. Religion. So who can trust this? And these governments, the government entrusted, paid the religions to look after these kids. So someone should have had some God-given sense to do something back then, but this was all done in the name of religion. So now we're outside of religion and we're looking down, just as though Christ or God's looking down at all the religions. And what do you look for? Well, we look for the good in humanity, the good in people. And isn't that what the Bible says? God is not partial. God looks at each of us. So now we've developed this relationship with God outside of religion. We now get to talk to God personally, how we want to talk to God, because God reads our intent. It doesn't matter our language. It doesn't matter the name we give God. God knows from our heart our intent. And it's an unwritten language, our intent. These are languages that we can, thoughts and feelings that we can give, and our faces go like this, and you see the person's intent, and we go like this. There's different muscles that react to different thoughts and feelings within our minds. And this is really what we start to see. And we see people differently, and we see people for people. And we don't see people for their religious belief or their nationality or their color of skin. We see people, we see inside, and we see people, and we see that all people are loving, and all people have love. And once we start to see that, we start to step outside. You see, fear and love, and the scriptures talk about that. Fear and love, they don't mix. It's like oil and water, they don't mix. So fear is opposite of love. So now we find God's promise. We see that it's not inside of religion. God's promise is not inside of religion. And then we get to number 6. This is the exciting part. And we get to number 6. We have to unlock it. But it's the golden city. And if you're a Christian, we read the book of Revelation, it goes to the golden city. And we get inside the golden city, and it's fabulous. And this is where all the secrets are unveiled. And I won't tell you anymore because this is where it happens. Once you get into the golden city and you see a lot of stuff, and everything starts to make sense because you've now unlocked all these locks. You got out of the cage, this cage that men have put you in, and you unlocked all these locks. And now you get to go into the golden city. And from there, you get to see a lot of stuff. You still don't get to see what God sees, but you get to see a lot of stuff. And there's other gates. I haven't went that far, but the golden city, that was the 6th lock. And there's one 7th lock, one last lock. Once you're in the golden city, there's a test. And there's a test. It's test your fear. And it's a one last test of your faith. And it's to overcome your fear. And it's where you have to free fall. And you have to free fall, and you have to trust. And you have to give up all of your other beliefs, everything that Rutherford taught, all the teachings on blood transfusions, all of those things were about men. And you've already did the research. You already know all of this stuff. You've already unveiled and unwrapped and unlocked all of those locks. And you get to this point now, you can free fall. And you can now just glide and surf. And it's like when Peter was walking on water. You remember he was walking on water and Jesus was on the boat, and Jesus says, "Come to me, Peter." And Peter was focusing on Jesus. And as long as he was focused on Jesus, on God, on love, he could walk on water. And what happened? Well, a wave came up, and Peter looks, and it frightened him, and he fell in. And that's going to happen to us. We're going to fall in, and we're going to have moments of fear. And then Jesus is going to reach down and grab you. And that's trust. And that's free falling into God's hands. And that's really the end of the story. So I hope that helped you. Love is our destination. And we're made up of love. We're people of love. We're made up of love. And love is our final destination. And how do we get there? Well, there's 7 walks. So, folks, the story's in here. It's in a fictional story, and we're encouraging everyone. You can get it online as an ebook. You can, or if you don't like ebooks, you can order it. And most ebooks will read them to you in audio, I think. But I am going to, when I get some time, I'm going to make an audio book and read the whole book out, and that'll be available soon. But for now, you can get it hardback and you can get it as an ebook. And it will take you to the destination of love. And that's what this book's about. Well, folks, until next time, keep living your life with love. Bye for now.